So I meant to talk about this the other day, but Dublin City Council voted to increase the rent on social housing, etc., in the capital, in around even Dublin County. Um, a big increase across the board, pretty much for everybody in social housing. Now, straight away, and I say the same for Cavan. The county council at the moment has put out forms for people in social housing to declare their income, how much they're getting in Cavan, so they can put it up. But they're not putting it up across the board. It depends on the person's income. They're not doing it across the board. In Dublin, it's across the board, regardless of your status. But eventually, Cavan County Council will do the same. But I'm just saying, and all the councils know what I say and what I think. But the first people that should be taking any they should be looking for more money off is the councillors. The councillors, all these councillors voted to a majority of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, supposed to be for the Republican Party, Fianna Fáil, looking after the people of Ireland, Fine Gael, and a few independents voted for too. But long story short, the councillors should be taking a big pay cut too. They should, they're saying they don't have enough money, etc. They do, and of course they have money for bicycle sheds, etc. And bicycle lanes. There's money for that, but there's no money to. They have to go looking for people with social welfare, etc. People that are deprived in a lot of areas of Dublin too, and families that are trying to save up a bit of money, etc. for to try and get a house, try and get on the market. And a lot of people would be single parents, etc. It's evil what they've done. Again, you think they would say we take a €2,000 pay cut each as councillors. Not a word about that. Even the Lord Mayor, they take a €2,000 pay cut. That's what I would say to the councillors in Cavan too. They should be taking a pay cut instead of asking only people for take your pay cut. Take it out of your salary, and then come to maybe to people, because it's all right for the city councils. No suggestions for them taking a pay cut. I haven't heard one of them say, "Oh, we're willing to take a pay cut in solidarity," because they're good at saying the solidarity for Ukraine and solidarity for this and solidarity for that, but it's all just words. There's never any action, and that's the thing about it. There's never any action. There's always words of encouragement, and we're standing with these people, we're standing together, all united, etc. But when it comes to push comes to shove, and they're asked to take a pay cut, they won't do it, because it's not up to us to take a pay cut, as they say. But yeah, long story short, it's the same with really anything. It's the same with the increase in property tax in Cavan and across the board too. There's forced people that should be, we should be looking for the money off our local councillors, our local TDs, take a €2,000 or €3,000 pay cut there, and that is sorted. But none of them will. None of them will be willing. Very few. You might get one or two to do it willingly, but you would have to force them nearly to do it. Because none of them want to do it. They don't want to give up their own salary, but they're willing to make other people pay for it. And take for example the business rates in Cavan. They put them up recently enough last year. All the councillors, for nearly all of them, all the Fianna Fáil, because majority of Cavan County Council are Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, they're all going to vote whatever the government tell them to do. Apart from maybe one or two said no. But still, they should have took a pay cut. And I say this, and they've heard me say this many times, all the councillors. There's no leadership. If say Dublin City Council were genuine, in a bit of a pickle and needed a bit of extra money, you think the councillors would say leadership, because that's what leadership's about. You take the sacrifice for the public. We would take a 50% pay cut until Dublin City Council makes their money, back. That's what the council should say. We do without. That's the whole idea of leadership, that you do without so the public can achieve good. And that's the whole deal. That's what leadership do. You take the bullet so the public don't have to take the bullet. That's the whole idea of leadership. That's what leadership is. You don't just throw the public under the bus and then you go off and live in your castle. Because that's what's happening in modern Ireland now with our politicians. They live in their castles and look down on the peasants. And let the peasants suffer with the people at the top get off scot free. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the logic. But what I'm trying to say is, I do agree at the moment that if people are owning the big salary, etc., in council houses, etc., they should pay a bit more. But for the only people like what Dublin City Council did, like across the board, regardless of your income or regardless of your status, take for example, if you're struggling, if you're just getting by no more, and a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling to pay the bills, rent, and to pay for electricity. It's not easy, especially if you're a single mother, etc. It's not easy. It's not great. And these councillors don't understand that. The majority of them don't understand. They're in the ivory towers and they don't care. And that's just the thing. The same in Cavan, but thankfully they're doing it a decent way in Cavan, in fairness. They're going around and saying to people, look, if you have a good paying job and stuff, pay a bit extra. But if you're struggling, etc., we're not going to charge you. But eventually they will go like Dublin City Council. Eventually that will be happening. But it's probably the same across the board. I think Monaghan's doing the same, as far as I'm aware. But what I'm trying to say is, the councils, first of all, it's the same with anything. If they ever talk about increasing business rates, property tax, first people should be pointing to councillors. Take a pay cut. We're going to vote. The people are going to vote on taking away, because it's funny how they just go into their council chamber and they vote, and that people don't have a say in this. You know, the people that are paying their taxes and paying their rent don't have a say in this. You know, the councils just get among themselves and vote. Like, the people don't have a say. Like, you think they would invite people in to speak on why they shouldn't vote or why they should, you know, etc. Because there'd be very few there who would say you should increase taxes on people that are already struggling. Apart from Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, they don't care. But you know, that's what I'm saying. But that's not democracy. That when a few selected people, like, that's nearly autocracy. When a few selected people choose behind closed doors what they can do. You know, it should be the people to decide, in my opinion. But anyway, champagne socialist 2.0. But yeah. But that's the idea of that anyway. I don't agree with it, but you know, but particularly because, again, people usually in social housing, etc., need it. You know, and that's the thing, they need it. They're not, like, these are the most vulnerable people really in society in a way, apart from the people who are homeless. They are very vulnerable. People in them houses, etc., are vulnerable. Some of them are doing better than others, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people would be just on the poverty line, or a bit under the poverty line, unfortunately. Anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe and bye.